Our last presenter this morning before coffee is Dr. Valerie Brett from the School of Business. Valerie's going to bring us through her research journey and I suppose her path to becoming the Athena SWAN project manager for the Institute. Thank you,
Hi.
Valerie.
Good morning, everyone. Coffee's nearly there, so we'll watch the colours. But look, what I'm here today to talk about is a little bit of a slightly different tack. Some of the remit that went out about Research Sparks was to talk about your research or to talk about your journey through research. So we're all coming from a research background here and we're all on a career path. So this is a little bit of a two-tone presentation about my own research journey and to focus on the role that I'm undertaking now for the Institute, which is leading up with a self-assessment team led by Elaine Sheridan, our Institute's Athena SWAN application, which we're hoping to submit in November of this year. But I suppose kind of where it fits in for me and my own research journey, and I am part of what Athena SWAN is focusing on, as we all are, which is the underrepresentation of certain genders through, all genders, through the career pipeline. So from my career, where it started, I go back to pre-third level and what I wanted to do. And I always wanted to be a marine biologist. How do you think that worked out? And I thought that I was so lucky compared to my classmates at the time because I really, really knew what I wanted to be. This is me on the barrier reef diving. This is what I thought being a marine biologist was all about, and absolutely steadfast. I even gave up German for my leaving cert because I wanted to go to the university in the UK and I hated language and I knew I wouldn't need it. Even though everyone tried to stop me, I was going, and I did. And I went to the University of Plymouth in the UK because I'm from a small town of Feathert, inland, about an hour up the way here from Clonmel. So I needed to go to the UK to realise my dream of being a marine biologist. And they had a programme there called Marine Biology and Coastal Ecology, and it's a really, really oversubscribed program. So what they did was, if you didn't make the grade and you didn't get in on the first round, they offered you a kind of an access course. You could go on and do a year, and then if you passed the year, you got a free pass into the programs that you like. So it was a really, really good way, management-wise, of getting students in and keeping them there who didn't actually quite make the grade of getting on the program. So I went off to Plymouth, and something really, really, I suppose, my resolve crumbled. This dream of being a marine biologist just totally fell apart within about 6 months. You know, that says something of my character, does it? Because I realised from talking to staff and talking to students, and they used to run kind of open days where you could go and meet the different programme leaders and get more information about the career paths and, you know, what was involved. I realised being a marine biologist meant being seasick and gutting fish, and that was decided. There was all my resolve gone. Didn't want to be a marine biologist anymore. But I was about 19, 20 at this point, so I didn't want to leave the university life. You know, I was really, really enjoying that aspect of it. I didn't want to go back to Feathert, although my parents were begging me to come back to Ireland. And I had to make a decision. So Plymouth had a really good maritime and marine faculty. I knew I wasn't science-based, STEM-based, and that wasn't my strength. So I ended up with not 100% conviction, because I just didn't want to come back to Ireland, to take up a degree in maritime business and maritime law. So I went from, within 9 months, from wanting to save the oceans to polluting them, containers. So after that, then I had a fantastic experience. I met fantastic lecturers. I really, really excelled on the program, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I touched base with an institution here. I was coming to the end of my degree, the Marine Institute and the Irish Maritime Development Office, and I got funding for a PhD. And I did my PhD here in Ireland with a supervisor from the UK on industrial clustering of maritime industries within Ireland. But after that, then I went and I worked with the Marine Institute for a year. I loved my work, really, really enjoyed it. And what happened then, the recession hit, and I was out of work for a year. So spent 12 months looking for a job, and then the first application that I succeeded was with Professor Bill O'Gorman out in Cedra, working with on kind of regional development and regional policy. And I remember the question in the interview, he asked me, how does shipping and marine, how are you going to, I suppose, translate into this area? But I suppose because I was looking at the marine industry from an economic and a business perspective, I suppose the theories were similar. You know, it was just that it was regional development and it was regional industry development, but focus on a particular sector. I spent about 7 or 8 years with Bill out in Cedra, working on a variety of different programs, European funded programs, and really, really, really enjoyable work. But I suppose I came to a transition point where we all might do at different times of our careers, because our lives change and our work-life balance change. So I was in a situation where I needed more security. I wanted a mortgage, I wanted a pension. My work-life balance has changed. I had a small family, so my ability to, I suppose, do the work that I was doing in terms of maybe travelling and kind of publish and perish, that all kind of changed very, very quickly in a very short period of time. So I had to figure out, I suppose, where I was going to go and what I was going to do. But I really do love research as well. So I was looking for a way where I could go into a role where I could use my experience and abilities, but support the research environment. So if anyone doesn't know what Athena SWAN is about, it originally started in about 2005, and it was addressing the underrepresentation of women, specifically in STEM, through the academic pipeline. So and that came from the Equality Challenge Unit in the UK. Today, in 2018, what Athena SWAN means is looking at underrepresentation from both STEM, but also the arts and humanities, but also within an IoT or a university, the management and support staff as well. So Athena SWAN has changed from just STEM to everyone within our environment. And Athena SWAN is about equality and it's about inclusion, and it also looks at trans staff and students as well. When you sign up to Athena SWAN, you sign up to a number of principles, and here's just a snapshot of some of them and what they are. It's looking at advancing gender equality, supporting individuals, the loss of women through the career pipeline, gender pay gap, discriminatory treatment as well, because Athena SWAN is moving forward in itself too. So it's looking at the intersectionality in terms of disability, ethnic background, trans gender as well. And it's looking at leadership from senior roles in terms of gender underrepresentation. Just really, really why it's important. A recent survey, 2016 survey of over 4,000 respondents, 64% think that there is gender inequality in the Irish education sector. And what I mean by gender, I'm not just talking about women, I'm talking about male, females and trans as well. But just very, very quickly, the graphs here that you see, the bottom one, this shows the leakage through the pipeline. So what you can see at undergraduate level, males and females, it's kind of pretty okay. And then you get to a point at assistant lecturer where it's 50-50. And then when you get to the senior position, 69% of men are men and 31% are women. And what I'm going to say to finish up is, what Athena SWAN is about looking at this leakage through the pipeline and the underrepresentation. It is not about gender quotas. It is not saying that we have to have 50-50 men and females apply for certain positions. It's trying to deal with the underrepresentation, the barriers that we all face as we work through our career paths and as our life change and our work-life balance changes and our responsibilities in caring. So basically, we are putting an application in together, and a lot of our SAT members are here today. We're looking at statistical data within the Institute in terms of looking at information about recruitment and leavers and the representation in our different departments. There will be an institution-wide survey that will be run later on this year, so please, when you see that coming on board, please give your support. It's really, really important to have your input. And there will be a 4-year plan as part of the Athena SWAN application as well to address gaps and issues. And Athena SWAN has removed their accreditation from institutions and universities who have put together an action plan and not delivered on it. So I'll just finish.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Valerie. Does anyone have any questions for Val? Yeah.
I just wonder. I mean, one of the reasons for this gap is the fact that traditionally men haven't been encouraged to take over roles in terms of household. In particular, paternity leave has been absent. Would one of the commitments be that a college that goes to that charter would have equal paternity leave with regard to child raising as well as maternity leave?
Yeah, so some of the data that we look at, we have to kind of look back at ourselves, and we'll be looking at data from 2015, 16 and 17. So we're looking at the uptake of paternity leave and maternity leave, and also unpaid leave. And that data, no doubt, I'm sure everyone, you won't be surprised, it will show predominantly, female. So, I mean, it's part of our remit through the Athena SWAN as well to develop an action plan. And that action plan really is explore how we can deal with the underrepresentation, but also how we can encourage more men to uptake this as well, and that's really, really important. I know we've had the 2-week male paternity leave come back in, was it 12 months ago? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah. So absolutely. But also with Athena SWAN, we do have to work within the rules and regulations of the land as well. But we have the opportunity as an institution to lobby that case as well, because it's not fair. That isn't fair. It's one of the things. But also it's really, really important about Athena SWAN, men's voices and opinions are hugely important. And it's not just a case of women talking for women. Men have a huge role to say in this as well, because it's part of, it's important to all of us.
That's super, Val. Thanks so much. So I think there are a couple more questions for Val, but we are just going straight for coffee. So if you want to grab her for a coffee and bend her ear, I'm sure she'd be most welcoming. We'll be kicking off for our second session at 11:10. So in spirit of keeping everything moving, if everyone could make sure they're back in on time, that would be super. Thanks so much for your attention, everybody.